Hi, hello, welcome to another episode of Man with a Mentor. I am the man, your host, Matthew Barnard. And in case you're wondering what a show called Man with a Mentor may be about, it's basically I find interesting people and I ask them like, hey, what all happened to you in your life that made you want to do that particular thing that you decided that you wanted to pursue? And today I have a really interesting guest and his name is Matt Stanley. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thank you very much, Matt.
I'm going to read something about you here. Matt Stanley. Matt Stanley. For 25 years, Matt has been combining stand-up comedy and mind-blowing magic and touring internationally at corporate events, comedy clubs, colleges, cruise ships, and resorts, and has appeared on NBC and Fox television programs. And all his info can be found at mattstanley.com.
Wow, yeah.
Woo.
Wow. Whoever wrote that did a good job. That sounds good.
I think it was you mostly.
Maybe.
And I took some words out that you can throw back in there later.
All right.
All right. So what's going on like right now as we go into this year?
So right now, this is we're on the tail end of the corporate holiday season, which is always big for entertainers in general, especially ones that perform at corporate events and that kind of thing like I do. So did a lot of holiday entertainment. January is historically kind of a little bit of a slower time. I only have a couple of local gigs this month, so that's all fine though after the busy holiday season.
Right. Well, let's go back to your youth and what was the thing that came to you and said like, "Hey, here's magic, or here's comedy, or here's both these things." Like, when did it happen?
So I got a magic kit for my 6th birthday, which is a real common gift for a kid that age to get.
Right.
I took it a lot more seriously than most kids. I was doing little shows for my friends in the neighborhood and that kind of thing. And I did my first paid show when I was 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of strange. It was for a family friend. They had a 6-year-old that's celebrating their 6th birthday, and I'm 8 years old, and I'm performing. Made $20 for the show, so that was big money.
You were
as an
so
8-year-old.
much older than they were. Like,
Oh yeah,
you know?
significantly older than them. Yeah, for sure. Only 2 years, but it felt different. But I say I got that magic kit as a gag gift for my parents, but the joke's on them because I do this for a living now. So
right. Were they like, oh no, we've opened up a Pandora's box?
Yeah, it's like one of those things where most parents want their kids to be a doctor, an attorney, but mine wanted me to be a magician. Apparently, no.
Oh. No, how did they feel about? I mean, because were you into it between like 6 and a long time, or were there some times when they were like, finally he's put that magic kit down?
I never looked back. I never looked back. It was kind of one of those things I did. They were very supportive, to answer that question. My parents were very, very supportive. I think it's like anything. You have kids that are interested in something, whether that be a sport or theater or whatever the case may be. Right. And just at that time, that was a thing. And even though it was a very unique thing, there weren't a whole lot of, kids. But it was kind of cool. It brought me together with a lot of people my age that from around the country and around the world that, I'm still friends with to this day because of those friendships I made, young and as a teenager specifically.
The whole thing of comedy, like, did you think like, can I mix the two, or did you want to do both but do them separately, and how did you put them together?
The magic definitely came first, and I did a lot more of a serious type of a magic act. I used to do, the floating girl and cutting her in half and making birds appear, and I did all that kind of thing, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But there is, just like anything, you have that kind of a serious magic. You have what's considered close-up magic. You have stage magic, illusions, and then comedy magic is kind of its own little realm within that world. And I just was drawn to it. And I think I always kind of had a natural kind of comedic timing. And I think that you have to have that rhythm. I don't think that it can be learned. I think that you kind of have that or you don't, as far as comedians go and that kind of thing.
Right.
Because some people are destined to be musicians and they have that, rhythmic timing.
Right.
And some people don't have it. And I think, comedians kind of have a similar type of thing where you have that pacing and that timing.
Right.
And I mean, you can develop it for sure.
Right.
But I think you have to have a firm starting point.
Yeah. Do you think, because I've heard of comedians who feel like they want to tell like stories that are very personal to them, but then they also have to kind of be a character that gets attention. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? So there's a little bit of like, I'm being authentic, but I'm not completely being myself. Do you
There are a lot
agree
of
with
creative
that?
liberties.
Right.
I think because you'll say, I might have a joke where I say, oh, and just last week I was doing it. Well, it's probably genuinely based on a real event, but it didn't happen last week. It might have happened 15 years ago, but it doesn't sound, 15 years ago. It doesn't have the same ring as if
No.
it was a recent,
Right.
occurrence.
You're thinking, he hasn't learned that for 15 years?
Yeah, right. What an idiot, Yeah. So there are some creative liberties that are taken,
Right.
And artistic liberties, I guess we'll call them in that moment.
Right. So you've always been constantly updating what you do in terms of magic. Like if you started off as kind of with a serious persona, were those tricks like totally different than what you do now, or do you keep some standard things in your repertoire?
So I do some things that are classic magic effects that I have been doing for a long time, and maybe at some point I did them as a serious, kind of or a more dramatic presentation. But now I have the overall effect might be the same, but the presentation is completely different. And so I guess just the roadmap to how you get there is
Right. Right. Who mentored you in terms of like your style? Like, did you pattern yourself off of somebody, or did you say to people in the other colleagues, like, I want to go this route? Like, what should I do?
Well, I mean, I had early mentors. There was a Dayton local magician, the amazing Shaner. He passed away a few years ago, but he was kind of the man in the area, and I had seen him perform. And he and his wife owned a magic shop, and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit. And through him, I met, several other people. There was, another local guy, Richard Schoonmaker, and a guy named Bobby Edwards, and a guy named Larry Taylor. Larry, I still am in touch with Larry very regularly. As far as kind of famous magicians, I was always a big fan of the amazing Jonathan. As far as people that were more mainstream,
Right.
Matt King, who still performs in Las Vegas at the Excalibur.
Right.
He's the longest running Las Vegas headliner, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
He is the king.
He is the king. Yeah, and he's in a castle. He performs in a castle at the Excalibur. So
Right. Although I was always afraid of Excalibur that it looks like it's made out of Legos. I was always a little bit afraid that it actually was.
It could be,
Could
actually.
be,
I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, they make some incredible Lego things now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But Penn and Teller were, always big. But obviously, David Copperfield, I was influenced by him. He is a lot more dramatic. But if you watch a lot of his stuff, he does have a comedic presence to a lot of his routines.
Did you think at 13 or 14, like, I really want to be a performing magician?
Yeah,
or did you think...
I knew right away that I never wanted to do anything else. It was just, I knew that this is what I want to do. And I knew right away.
Right. So, but you went to college. Like, would you recommend that? And where did you go? And why did you decide to go where you went? And was it worthwhile to you? And there's like 6 questions in there. Take them at will.
I mean, there would be I guess, an inspirational reason I could say, but the truth is of the matter is my parents said you have to have something to fall back on.
Right.
And I was, kind of forced to go to college. I don't regret it, but it was not, I didn't think I needed it. I had this career path already mapped out, so I didn't. But I made kind of the concession that, okay, if I'm going to go to college, because they didn't specify it has to be, anything in particular. So, but I did business, and I minored in marketing.
Right.
And, they're both things that have been very helpful in,
Right.
My career path.
So you would recommend? Like,
Yeah, I definitely, I think that it's useful. I wouldn't discourage anyone from doing it. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there. It's really healthy competition, but,
Right.
not
Yeah.
not
Do you
everyone.
think you kind of learn like an overarching, like, I'm going to begin this, and the end result is kind of far, so you have to think like a long-term goal. That first like long-term goal, I'm going to stick at this, and then I'm going to end up with a degree at the end. But I've got to like stick with it. I can't just like
Yes.
mosey my way through this, which I think is an important thing to do, because you've got like the next 50 years that you've got to like keep doing that, like putting the time in for
Right.
a result at the end.
Right.
And those time frames aren't just like a hot minute, So,
No. Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely, you have to play the long game. You cannot, playing the day to day. It's I have long-term goals. I have short-term goals and you have to kind of balance all of those. And I learned a long time ago that you can't compare yourself to other people's levels and what, because it just leads you down a dark path of, why is this person getting this and I'm not, and that kind of thing. And there's enough out there for everyone. So
right.
we all support each other, and it all comes full circle.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't really approach or start realizing success until they're 40 or whatever. But when they're 20, they're looking at other like 20-year-olds and going, they're so far beyond. But then they may be like, I got left behind. I turned 30 and it was all my best days were behind me. So everybody's like best days and times like can be in flux. I think as long as you're putting the work in,
Right.
and trying to make things happen, like that's the foundation of it all.
Yeah, you just have to keep, and it's easy when it's not easy. It's easier when you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
When you have passion for it, it does it. Because the thing is I, there are other career paths that are like this, but my hobby is also, or one of my hobbies is also how I make a living.
Right.
So it's really easy to get burnt out on it, because, if I'm doing it for a living, then sometimes it gets to be, it's like, you don't want to. I don't ever want to get to the point to where I don't enjoy it. So
Right.
so there is there has to be a nice balance of it. But I do still enjoy performing. One of the hardest parts about my job is the travel. All the people I looked up to when I was younger, that were doing pretty much what I'm doing now, as they said, oh yeah, they pay you to travel and you do the show for free. That's that's your payment. Like that's the reward.
Oh, right.
Right.
Right. Oh, I hadn't thought of it.
Because the
that way.
show's the fun part. All the
Right.
other
Yeah.
BS that leads up
Right.
to it, having to get there, and I can't count the number of times that I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning to take a flight, and I go, man, I got into the entertainment business so I didn't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning, so I could sleep till noon, and it did not work out that way.
Right. When you first thought of like putting the comedy together, I think I can tell like you have a comedic nature, a sensibility like about you, just in your demeanor, just showing that to me.
Okay.
But I feel like coming up with like, joke, punchline, crafting stories within magic tricks. Like, how do you do that? And did you have a time when you were like, this isn't working? Like, how did you get through some things that were tough lessons?
Well, I mean, a lot of the best material that's in my show is things that either the audience says or that someone says after a show, or something like that I'll get, and then it's something that organically happens, and then I spend countless hours figuring out how to make that happen, how to recreate that moment. So it seems off the cuff, it seems organic again, but so sometimes
Right.
sometimes I didn't write it at all. Sometimes it just happened, and then what I actually wrote was, how do we make that happen again, or how do we make that happen every time?
Right, right. Now, a lot of magicians also have an assistant. Like, do you have someone who you call on to be an
Well-
assistant, or is that person involved in the process or the process of the joke or the setup, or?
I don't. I'm a solo performer for the most part, but I have done shows with assistants and that kind of thing, and the big illusions and all that kind of stuff. The closest thing now would be the shows that my wife is able to go to. She's not an on-stage assistant, but she's basically I guess a really great roadie, because she knows where everything goes and how to pack everything up. So for instance, if I do a solo show where I go and I set everything up and I do the show, and then I do a meet and greet afterwards and that kind of thing, now I have to go back and I have to spend 45 minutes packing up the show. If she's there, I come back from the meet and greet and everything's already packed up and ready to go. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now, if someone came to you and said, I feel like you're so unique in being a comedic magician, but if someone said to you, I'd like to be either one of those things, what would be maybe the key piece of advice of something that they need to be doing to be a success in either of those areas or both of those areas?
I think an answer that would cover both of them equally well is, if you have an interest in doing it, then you just need to get up and do it. You need to get up and and perform, do open mics, don't be afraid to be bad.
Right.
Just get up and do it. And if you have the desire, if you get up there and you go, okay, well, maybe it didn't go great,
Right.
but this is, that's where it really comes in. The bug bites you and you go, okay, well, now we need to improve on that.
Right.
You're either going to get up and you're going to go, oh, that didn't go well, and I never want to do it again. Or you're going to get up there and it's going to go good,
Right.
but it could be better. And
Right.
you know, now you have the desire to improve on it.
Let me ask you how you get gigs and how you approach them in terms of like contracts and have you ever had someone offer you something where you were like, whoa, that's like down here on my pay scale? Or how do you negotiate things like that in a way that is comfortable for you and them?
I mean, I have my standard rates depending on what it is, and those are just dependent on different factors. Do I have to travel? Do I have to, is it local? Those kind of things. How many people? How
Right.
what kind of venue? Those are all things that factor in. A lot of my work comes from agents. I have an exclusive agent in the cruise market, and then I have several agents that book me for corporate and private events. And then I still, book things on my own. I have a lot of repeat clients. I have some clients that I've been working for 20 years. That I'll just, I'm the guy that they call when they need stuff. So it's, that's nice to be in that position.
That's
But
true.
those same people also refer me to other people, so I get business that way. And word of mouth business is the absolute best. Either someone has seen you and recommends you, or that person has seen you and now they're in a position to hire you in another capacity for another company or for another
Right.
type of event.
There are certain cities where there might be like a permanent opportunity. Would you rather work in a big city and just know you're going to go to the Kit Kat Club or whatever for like for an extended 2-year term, or do you like the moving around and going to place?
I'm very torn on that because I do think that it would be nice to be able to, like Matt King, for instance, his show, he does a 1 and 3 p.m. show. So he does 2 shows in a day, I think 5 or 6 days a week, and he's home by dinner time, you know.
Right.
So he's like, that's a great gig.
Yeah.
You know, you just drive across town and go do your thing and then go back home. And that's about the closest to probably an entertainer living a normal, quote unquote, life, you know.
Yeah.
I do think that there are definitely advantages to that. There are things that, because of how I travel, that there's material that I've kind of had to set aside that I would like to be performing, but just can't because it's not practical to be, you know, toting
You're like,
around.
if I could take this crate of 20 doves, I would.
Right.
I just cannot.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, and everything. I have 2 45-minute shows that all fly on a plane with me. I don't ship anything ahead, nothing. I have 2 checked bags and a carry-on, and that's 2 45-minute shows, and and my clothing for a week, and all that kind of stuff, and show costumes, all that. So
I'm impressed.
it's always, it takes years and years and years to get it all scaled down to where you're
like
do
the
that.
master. You've got your socks roll, or
like
you know every trick in the book. You could write a book about that.
I probably could, actually. There are little travel tricks like that. Yeah, stuffing things here and there to make it all all work.
Now let's talk about social media, like where people can find out information all about you.
Sure. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at MDS Comedy Magic. The MDS would be Matthew David Stanley. I used to, that's something we did not cover. I used to go by my full name, which was Matthew David Stanley.
Right.
And it was one of those things where people just misremembered it or didn't know what to call me. There were people that said, "Oh, I've known you a long time, and do I call you Matthew? Do I call you David? Do I call you Matthew David?" Like it's a,
MDs.
Yeah, MDs. Yeah, So it was like kind of a weird thing, and then there was the Michael David Stanley band, so people would confuse me with Michael, call me Michael. I would get checks written to Michael. It happened so often that at the bank they would just cash them anyway because they knew that it was just a mistake that happened often.
Right. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will never call you Matthew. Thank you, Matt Stanley, for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And if you want to know more about magic, go to mattstanley.com. And thank you for watching and or listening to this episode of Man with a Mentor. Make sure you subscribe and tell your friends to keep watching, because you don't want us to disappear. Yeah. Although he might saw me in half in a few minutes, which would pretty much also end the show. All right. Thank you, Matt Stanley.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
You,
Bye.